NFL teams that are headed into the tank for the 2023 season. So basically the worst teams in the NFL for next year. Who's going to be competing for Caleb Williams and Drake May? Let's really figure out. So off the top, I have the Rams. Matthew Stafford's coming off of an injury. I don't know what he's going to be like in the year after. Yes, he was, good enough in the Super Bowl year. Of course, the first year he was traded and came over from the Lions. This is a very bare offense outside of Cooper Kupp, and he's coming off injury as well. Although Stafford and Kupp are both going to be 100% ready and healthy for the start of the 2023 season, mini camp training, all that. I've seen the reports about them being healthy. So some of you might be wondering, why am I saying this? Again, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. I don't know how the two of them are going to be coming back off injury. We know that when neither of them were with the Rams last year, Super Bowl hangover, literally a 5-12 after winning it all. And I see this season being worse than last season. McVay contemplated retiring. They have the ninth hardest schedule, and maybe they could hang in the NFC, but I don't even think they're the second or third best team in their, they're the third best team in their division at best. I think they could be very dysfunctional along with these next few teams that are coming up. And just glancing at their schedule, I have these guys going 3-14. And I know here come all the Rams fans in the comments. Here comes everybody saying how stupid I am. But when you look at how bare the offense is, outside of Aaron Donald on the defense, Jalen Ramsey is now a Miami Dolphin. I just don't see enough complexity and roster talent compared to how the NFL is playing out today for the Rams to actually be a team that I believe could even win 8 or 9 games this year. Again, glancing on their schedule, I have them going 3-14 with the ninth hardest schedule. What is Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, that legendary connection we saw in the Super Bowl year, actually going to be like? It was shocking, again, that Sean McVay was contemplating retiring as well. The next team here, who will be one of the worst teams in the league, I've already predicted their schedule, the Tennessee Titans. Already predicted them going 2-15, unfortunately, due to a very bare offense as well. Outside of Derrick Henry, who's going to be your quarterback? Is it Will Levis? Is it Ryan Tannehill? Is it Malik Willis? Yes, I understand they have some players. I understand they have some players on the offense, and the defense is good. The defense, can be average some days, but they do have a good, if not great, not NFL, great defensive line. We saw that they were good against the run last year, but they have quarterback questions like crazy. They're the worst team in the division. This is an unfavorable schedule, and I believe that Mike Vrabel will be better and good enough to get them past 2-15. But when I predicted their schedule, you go look at every game that the Titans play in, they're not really going to be in any of those. I don't even remember the 2 wins that they actually have. I think one of them's against Arizona, and that might not even be a win. To be honest, I think they could be that bad and that dysfunctional. Because, I'm just going to go here and look at, the Titans depth chart. And I mean, when you start looking around for a player here that is actually going to bring you benefit again outside of Derrick Henry, who might not even be there by this time, by the time the team gets, or by the time the season gets started. I mean, Traylon Burks, he was okay coming in the draft last year. He had questions. Kyle Phillips. I mean, who are these guys? Chris Moore, Racey McMath. I know that they drafted Tyjae Spears, but that's because they need to. Julius Chestnut at running back. I mean, I get it. I'm naming off some second, third, and fourth stringers, so that might be kind of disrespectful. I like Danico Autry. I like Jeffrey Simmons, Aziz Al-Shaair. Well, look, they got Danico Autry at a couple positions on here. And we've also got, or they've also got Kevin Byard, Christian Fulton, Caleb Farley. So they've got, more defense than they do offense, or better defense definitely than they do offense. But I just don't see them being a good team next year. I really don't. Going 2-15, bare offense, defense is average, but it's a good D line. Crazy quarterback questions. Worst team in the division, unfavorable schedule. I don't need to say it again. Whew. All right. Couple more teams here. The Arizona Cardinals, which might not be a shock to you people, but Kyler could miss all of next year. They have a new head coach in Jonathan Cannon, who right now is very questionable after that easiest schedule with Philadelphia last year, losing that shootout in the Super Bowl. Being a defensive-minded head coach, being a rookie head coach. Again, Kyler Murray could not play this year. DeAndre Hopkins just got released. J.J. Watt just retired. They come out with hideous, ugly new uniforms. which I don't think any of us liked. So the Cardinals are definitely a team that's headed into the tank this year. I don't believe that's a shock to many people. I don't believe it really needs much explanation. Not a lot on either side of this here. I mean, yes, there's Budda Baker and Isaiah Simmons, who all we know can be traded for. You know, if the Cardinals are really going into that reboot, if they really are going into that rebuild, Cardinals are headed into the tank. And I hate this because the Cardinals just being 7-0 a few seasons ago, then they go 4-6 down the stretch, end up going 11-6 as a team. You know, we saw Kyler Murray fall off, get hurt at the end of the year. We saw Cliff Kingsbury not be able to do it. But we also saw the glimpses and the flashes and the highlights of how great that team could really be. It wasn't going to be a shocker if they ended up in the NFC Championship that year. But Cliff Kingsbury's job had been at stake for a while. He finally gets fired. Unfortunately, Kyler Murray has a non-contact ACL injury, which you don't want to see from a former number one overall pick, from a former Heisman winner, from a guy who's been in the MVP race when he is healthy. Unfortunately, he does fall off at the end of years. But I feel really bad for Cardinals fans in the situation they're in right now because I like Kyler a lot, but this injury could change his career. I believe the baseball rumors could maybe heat up a little more after this. Does Kyler play in 2023? Cardinals are headed into the tank. And the last team headed into the tank, which isn't a shocker, shouldn't be anyways to anybody. That's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. Jimmy G just failed his physical. That's not a reason why they're going into the tank, but I don't believe he won't. Let me rephrase that. Jimmy G will not be able to carry this Raiders offense, which does has weapons. They do have Josh Jacobs, who just led the league in rushing. They do have Davante Adams, who was just one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the league last year. Darren Waller was traded. Speaking of Davante Adams, he's not happy. He's not seeing eye to eye. They have a bad head coach as of right now. Zero defensive presence. Jimmy G, who is behind a great O-line, elite coaching, and an elite defense, is now going to bad coaching, bad defense, questionable O-line, average at best. And he's going to be asked to carry this team after not passing his physical. What more do you say about the Raiders? They just take away Derek Carr, put in Jimmy G, give away Darren Waller. Yeah, you do have Michael Mayer, who's in there now. I didn't like to pick in Tyree Wilson at 7, but they took him, and it is what it is. I think it's going to be really, really tough for the Raiders this year. Really tough for the Raiders. Raiders fans, I know, have been chiming in with me saying they believe it's going to be a tough season as well. And just what can you do at this point? I mean, really, the defense, Jimmy G fell in the physical. We know he's not going to carry the team. The bad head coaching. Davante Adams isn't happy. He's not seeing eye to eye. He literally said he's going to have to do his best to be optimistic and buy into this. He doesn't believe they're in the best position to win. He believes Jimmy G can limit their success. This has headed into the tank written all over it. Hate it for Davante Adams. Hate it for Josh Jacobs. And I hate it for Raiders fans. But I believe this is going to be a season where the Rams, Titans, Cardinals, and Raiders are headed into the tank for the NFL season.